You guys, the day has come. The grandma chair of my dreams, or executive grandma chair of my dreams that I ordered on Black Friday is here. Look at her. I need to take a break before I start filming to report my neighbors. I'll be right back. Okay, so the neighbors have been reported. We'll see if anything actually changes. Anyways, this is my new chair. I don't know what to call her. I kind of want to call her Clarice from Hannibal Lecter, but I don't know. Taking suggestions. Anyways, let's look at today's fan art. Okay, so this is today's fan art. Thank you so much for sending it to me. I love how I'm surrounded by holy water and my facial expression. Oh my god, this face is so cute, and I love like the eyeshadow and eyelashes. I'm obsessed. So thank you so much for doing this. Thank you so much for sending it to me. I will link the artist in the description as usual, and let's get into the video. So today's video is about an article that I came across on Blair White's Twitter. Blair White actually made a great point about it, and I'm gonna bring that up in a second. So this article is from The Telegraph, and it says, "Don't call us snowflakes, it damages our mental health, say young people." Blair White made a point to say that these are the same people who run to say that someone's racist or a Nazi and throw around all these heavy words, yet they're boo-hooing about being called snowflakes. So this article was interesting because it took a turn I did not expect. Here the article says, "The snowflake generation is a disparaging term now commonly used to refer to young people who are perceived to be oversensitive and intolerant of disagreement." And yeah, that's what a snowflake essentially is. Fine. Then this article, weirdly enough, goes into research about young adults and mental health. And I find this interesting because it kind of makes it seem like the correlation between being called a snowflake and your mental health is very strong, when in reality, there are a lot of parameters to be counted into mental health, and just being called a snowflake doesn't mean like, boom, you got hit with depression, sorry dude.
Crab stayed secluded in a deep depression that seemed endless.
So here they show you all these numbers about mental health. So it says concern, and then it says uncomfortable telling people about a mental health problem. And then it says young adults versus UK adults. They talk about stress, anxiety, and depression. And while all of these are important things, I don't really think that you can just associate being called a snowflake with depression, anxiety, and so forth. Surely it might be a factor, but to amplify it to this point where we're almost acting like it's the biggest thing involved, no. So skipping over this mental health part, because I don't really think that they have actual numbers to relate being called a snowflake specifically and depression. Let's move forward. So it says, the firm's medical expert, Dr. Doug Wright, said the term could cause problems. Our findings suggest that young adults are more likely to be experiencing mental health problems, so using a phrase which criticizes this age group could add to this issue. The thing is, the term snowflake, in my personal opinion, is not about age as much as it is about someone's behavior. I might call a 50-year-old a snowflake if they're acting like a snowflake. I don't really necessarily see it as particular to our generation, although our generation realistically has a lot of SJWs. Also because our generation spends a lot of time online, so maybe there are plenty SJWs who are 50, but it's also likely that they're not online as much as the ones who are 20. So those are the ones that we prevalently see. That's a reality. Then Dr. Wright continues to say, any term used disparagingly to a segment of the population is inherently negative. Yes, it might be negative, but is it also true? Because the thing is this, if I say that you are an SJW, for me the connotation is negative because I'm not a fan of SJWs, but if it is true and it's actually a fact, I mean, how are you going to argue against that? Are you going to say that you don't believe the things you believe? Like, I obviously don't want people to feel bad about it, but if you are an SJW, if you are a snowflake, shouldn't you own that? If it's what you believe in, why would it hurt your feelings? It's like someone saying to me, oh, you're not an SJW. Like, if I don't believe in SJW behavior, why would it hurt my feelings to be called that? Okay, and while editing, I realized that there's a point that I forgot to make, which is, I can understand why someone would be offended to be called a snowflake because it does have a negative connotation. However, if you think that you're fighting for everything that's right, that negative connotation shouldn't bother you so much because it's coming from someone who disagrees with you. So again, it seems a little bit ridiculous to get offended over that. And at the same time, even if I was saying what you think is completely stupid, I'm entitled to say that the same way that an SJW can come comment on this video saying that what I'm saying is stupid. So essentially, suck it up. Anyways, I got one of those stamp thingies where you can stamp stars and hearts on your face, and I'm obsessed. Anyways, back with the video. The phrase, which originated in America, has particularly come to refer to universities and students who use trigger warnings to alert readers or listeners to potentially distressing material and safe spaces which are meant to be free of certain opinions or ideas. I'm not a fan of safe spaces. I'm pretty sure this is not really a surprise to any of you at this point. Trigger warnings I can understand to a limit, you know, like especially with things like rape or things that might trigger someone's PTSD, I can understand. However, there's also a limit there, and it's hard to define, but that's not what we're talking about here. Here it says, it is also used to imply that young people are less resilient than older generations and quicker to take offense. Again, like I said, I don't think snowflake, at least to me, it's not particular to an age group, it's particular to a belief. A lot of people are less resilient in the sense that this political correctness bullshit has become far more amplified now. Not only because there's the internet, but because of this wave of people just wanting to be mad or sad or just generally sensitive about things. So it's not really about these young people, it's generally about the time we're in. If it were any other young people in the same time, it would be about them. So it's not particular to, oh, these young people, it's particular to the time and what is happening now. And in reaction, these young people act a certain type of way. Then they say that they think that this originates from Fight Club. And then in an interview earlier this year, he took credit for the term, Palahniuk did, saying, "My friends who teach in high school tell me that their students are very easily offended." It's interesting that he would say that students are very, very easily offended, because that is exactly what we're talking about here. And at the same time, if we're talking about a group of people who are easily offended, if they're offended by the term snowflake, why would we be surprised if they're easily offended and sensitive to everything? It's almost as if their reaction backs up the point of them being called a snowflake. I don't know, like I feel like this is ridiculous. And the fact that people are freaking out over the term snowflake, and I'm just like, well, why don't we talk about the fact that you snowflakes, SJWs, whatever, are usually the people who are coming around calling people racist, transphobic, ableist, Nazis, whatever else terms you guys want to buzz on this week. So it's a little bit hypocritical, honestly. Let's look up at the term snowflake generally. There's something on Wikipedia. Let's see what it says. Snowflake slang. Snowflake as a slang term involves a derogatory usage of the word snowflake to make reference to people. Its meaning has varied, but may include a person who has inflated sense of their own uniqueness, has unwarranted sense of entitlement, or is easily offended and unable to deal with opposing opinions. Seems accurate enough. Here, however, they don't mention an age group, which is interesting because that's how I see it as well. So I feel like this Telegraph article is off on multiple points, because first of all, they continue relating it to an age group, which I don't think it's about age group, it's about the time. And if the time is a time like now where everyone's an SJW on internet, then that's why. Yeah, and the fact that this article talks about stress and anxiety, it says, these figures show that young people are more likely to have experienced stress, anxiety, and depression in the last year. Well, okay, that's horrible, but how is that related to be calling a snowflake? Being called a snowflake is surely not the main thing that causes someone to have any of these things. I don't understand what this article is trying to get at, aside from saying that snowflake is apparently detrimental. I'm so over it. I'm so over it. Okay. Out of anger and frustration, I didn't conclude my argument and just turned off my camera earlier. So, if in someone's life being called a snowflake is the biggest trouble they're dealing with, clearly they do not have that much trouble. In the end, I do think that this article is looking for sympathy and pity for snowflakes who cannot handle people with differing opinions and cannot handle being called a small derogatory term such as snowflake. At the same time, their hypocrisy is off the charts, considering that they are the same exact ones using big, heavy terms such as racist and Nazi to describe people. So, this article is completely ridiculous, completely hypocritical, and if snowflakes are going to be sad about being called snowflakes, let them be sad. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you next time.